Me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I just came back from a walk, so I look horrible. I'm so sorry. But I'm from a suburb in Illinois, and my parents bought this house a couple months before I was born. And my sister, she's 3 at the time, they put her in one of the rooms. And a couple weeks into living there, she runs out of the room. She's screaming, "There's a lady in my closet." And my parents are like, you're dreaming, it's in your head, you're 3. And she said, "No, there's a lady in my closet." So they go and check, and there's nobody in the closet. But my sister refused to go into that room after that. So guess who got the bedroom? I did. So I'm now in that room, and I don't really remember my childhood until I was maybe 6. That's when I started getting memories. But one night, parents are sleeping, and I hear crashing coming from the laundry room downstairs. It was one of those bi-level homes, and my sister hears it. So we both come out of our rooms. Our parents are dead asleep, and we had those stackable, colorful containers that pull out, that were on the plastic trays. Those were being yanked out and thrown into the laundry room floor. And my sister and I were about to go downstairs to go check it out, and we had one of those big box TVs that had the speaker, one of those big ones. And this is the 90s. And we go down, and we see the TV in the corner, and there's something hovering over the TV, and we're hearing crashing as this is all going on. So we were like, nope. We booked it, and I went to my sister's room because she was scared of my room, and I went to her room, and we just took cover together. We were terrified. So the years go on, and there's still some stuff going around, and my dad's in denial. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff. And my mom now that we're out of the house, she's like, "Oh yeah, definitely there's something there." But at the time, she's like, you girls are just watching too much TV. And I'm like, "Ma, I'm watching SpongeBob." So SpongeBob's not scary except for that maybe one episode with the Hashling and Slasher. Besides the point, as the years go on, and I'm in this scary room, I woke up one night screaming because there was this man in the corner of my room with just head, shoulders, and straight down. And I'm screaming, and my parents come in. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what?" My sister follows in, and she sees it, and she starts screaming. She said, "There's a man in the room." And I'm like, "There's a man in the room." My parents are like, "There's nothing here." So I refused to sleep in that room for a little bit. Because there was every night there was head, shoulders, straight down. That's it. Darker than dark. And that's when I started sleeping with a nightlight. And I slept with a nightlight until 3 years ago because this shit scared me so bad. So now it's junior high, and I'm starting to make friends. And there's this one girl that I invite over for a sleepover. And I haven't told anybody, anything that's been going on in the house because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. So I invite her over, and I'm like, "You know what? You could change in my room. I'll change into my pajamas in the bathroom, and then we'll, come back and do sleepover stuff." And not even 2 seconds of me being in the bathroom, she's banging on the door, and I open the door. She has no pants on. She's crying and shaking. She said, "There's a man in your room, and I want to go home." And so now I'm looking at her like, "Oh my God, you're seeing it too." So my mom comes up because she hears my friend freaking out, and she asks what's going on. She's like, "There's a man in her room. I want to go home." And my mom's like, "Well, it's 11:30 at night. We can't really bring you home right now. Let's just sleep downstairs." So I'm like, okay, now I know I'm not crazy. Me and my sister are not crazy if we're all seeing the same thing. So things just start getting weirder throughout the house. My dad even said that he's felt like there was somebody sitting on the edge of the couch with him. Your hair just sticks up in this house. You hear voices, you hear whispering. Things are constantly getting knocked off of shelves in the middle of the night. Our fridge would open and close. Just so many weird occurrences to the point where my mom, we had I'm not Catholic, so is it a deacon? We had somebody from a Catholic church that worked at the Catholic church, our neighbor. He came over and he blessed the house because it was getting that bad. And that didn't work. We think it made it worse. And also, when this is all going on, the show Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi is getting really popular. So my sister's friend ends up buying, Ghost Hunters had like this like ghost hunting kit. So she bought one just for her, and she's like, we know your house has some weird shit going on. Let's have like an investigation. And my dad traveled a lot when I was younger. So there was no men in the house. It was just my mom, me, my sister's friend, and my sister. And she brings over all the equipment, and we're like getting all hyped up. We're like, we're gonna catch something. We're gonna catch something. And my mom, I remember she's standing on the stairs. It's like one of those bi-level houses, you know? So she's standing on the stairs, and us being Midwesterns, we had a plastic bag full of plastic bags hanging on the banister. And I remember she's like, you girls better not be loud. I don't want to hear you guys screaming because you're freaking yourselves out. You know, whatever you do, just be chill about it. And after she stopped saying that, the bag on the banister starts violently swinging. My mom looks at it and goes, I'm going to bed. So then she goes up and we start our investigation. My room always had the most activity, of course. So we set up the EVP recorder in there, and there was like that thermal temperature. My room was like 35 degrees colder than the rest of the house. And so we set it up, and we went downstairs, and we just hung out downstairs. And we let that thing go for, I think it was like 7 hours of recording. So then the next day, my sister's friend went home, and she's listening through the entire tape. And later on that night, she's like, you got to hear this. So she comes over and she plays the recording. And on the recording, there is a man. It's like a weird, like, I can't even recreate it, but it's like this weird, like, grumbling, like, growling almost. And on the recording, it said, I did it. I killed her. So we're like, okay, what the fuck? So we're going crazy, and we start talking more about it to our family. And my uncle goes, oh, well, you know, your neighborhood used to be called West Haven, and this girl I actually knew was murdered there. It's a very horrific story, so I won't get into it. So we're like, there's no way. So we went to the library and we looked up the archives. Sure enough, there was a girl that was unalived on our property. So we start piecing together. We don't even know if this is like legit or not, but we're thinking that the lady in the closet was the teenager that unfortunately lost her life. And to my sister being 3 years old, that's a lady, you know, but it's a teenager. But we think the woman in the closet, it was her. And we think the guy that we've been seeing in the corner was the killer. So that's just our little own speculation of that. But after living with the evidence and the information that we gathered, we were freaked out, but we just kind of made peace with it. You know, we'd be downstairs middle of the summer, late at night, and we would hear like somebody coming down the stairs. We thought it was our dad because we woke him up, and no one ever came down. My grandmother ended up being in hospice at our house, and that's when the activity really upticked. I remember standing in my room looking at a necklace that my grandma like just gave me, and I saw from here down run to my parents' bedroom, but no one was upstairs. So we sold the house about 11 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, and we moved to Michigan. And I still go home from time to time, and I go drive past our old house because we were there for 18 years. You know, we're still very much connected to it. And one of the last times I drove past it, I saw somebody peeking out the window like that. So, yeah, that's my story. That was my entire childhood. And now I deal with some paranormal stuff, but not as much as I did back in Illinois. So, there's that.